Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Working Dragon Mystic Magical Coffee Hour. I'm Drake. Hope everyone had a great weekend, and I hope you're excited for the week. I know I've got a busy week ahead of me, but that's okay. It's all good things in my mind. We got some amazing announcements that we're going to talk about. Here on Magical Coffee Hour, if you are new, we've been getting a lot of new viewers. It's a community update. We talk about what's been going on, and at the same time, we have some random occult conversations and Q&As here in the live chat with everyone. It's a lot of fun. So hopefully you all enjoy that. You'll notice Immortal has dropped a few links in there for the channel and everything. Also, if you are here, give us a like. It really does help with that pesky algorithm thing. Eden Bull, good to see you. Thomas, good to see you. Saeed, welcome. One major announcement I want to hit early and quick. We have just recently launched a new Working Dragon Mystic community site. Many of you who followed the channel for a long time, we've had a few issues with Discord. They deleted our channel. We went to Gilded for whatever reason. They deleted it. And we've been looking for a way to get a good community where we don't have to worry about being deleted and all these other things. You also know we have the online school. Because of this, we've been kind of spread out, right? We have recently launched a new site that's not only going to give us control of the community, we don't have to worry about the problems we've had with Discord and Gilded. It's going to put us in one site, and we can also bring the online school over to the community where courses can be purchased at that one location, right? And that's also going to allow us to integrate the online school with the paid supporters a bit more and actually offer a bit more integration and perks there for paid supporters when we do workshops and as we release new courses and stuff like that. So with that, you will see that Immortal did drop a link up there talking about the community. And there's also a link below this video. That link will no longer go to locals. It will go to the new community site. Added perk to this, and this is my big thing, like as good as locals was to us, and locals was very, very good to us. I got no beef with locals. Okay, let me be honest. Great site. They were a free site, but they didn't give our standard free members the ability to take part in the conversations and chat. And that's one of the things that I was working desperately to find a workaround at. This one, the free members can take parts in chats. The paid supporters, you still have your own chat area, your own location, topics and stuff that we can cover there. All those wonderful things. So it's going to give us a way to continue to grow the community. So definitely check us out there if you can. So that being said and all, hopefully that will help everyone out. I know I'm definitely looking forward to it. Let's see, what do I got here? What is this? We got a few questions driving in already. Immortal, no, that's not it. Thomas Logger, what's Cracklin? So Cracklin is essentially, it refers to two things, depending on how you use it. Most people will think Cracklin is simply a pork rind, which is pretty good, which is essentially the thick skin, thick, fatty skin of a pork that's been deep fried. And I love pork rinds personally as a person from the South. But then you have what the Cajuns call Cracklin, which the way they cut it, in a lot of ways, it is a pork rind. They just prepare it slightly different. I think they have a bit more meat on them, depending on who's making them. But again, they're just deep fried pork fat and a little bit of meat and skin, so it gets like this just real crunchy, higher protein pork rind, if you will. They're fried up. They're delicious. They're just pure protein, honestly. I absolutely love them. I will say, like a homemade Cracklin from the Bayou does, like, it's light years ahead of a bagged pork rind. Not that I've ever turned down a bagged pork rind, but as far as healthy snacks go, they're amazing. Many of you know I do carnivore. I actually keep pork rinds in the house because of that. And I got a friend, whenever she makes cracklins, she tries to get me some of them. So, yeah. Did not expect to see that question, but they are amazing. Pork rinds get a really bad rap this day and age. Like, I don't know what it is. People's like, pork rinds, ew. And it's like, well, what'd you think of them? When did you have them? I've never had them. Then how do you know it's ew? I mean, they're essentially a better potato chip, if you want my mind. I actually prefer pork rinds over potato chips. You can actually use them in any way you'd use a potato chip. So I've used them to bread things. I've used them to make nachos. Yeah. So there we go. Let's see. Where was that? How comes? Oh, because I'm an idiot. I've been super busy, Claw. My apologies. And when I set up the streams, I forgot to set it up on Rumble. That's on me. That's entirely on me. My apology, Claw. That's my bad. I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I really have. Berto, is it going to replace locals? Most likely. We're going to slowly move over there. We're going to continue to update locals for a while, mainly because I have a few paid supporters who actually pay in advance, right? They've paid like several months in advance, and I don't want to cheat them. I'm not a cheat. And I've not found a way to perfectly transition that over, or I would. So I'm going to operate locals and post the supporter only stuff there still for those who paid. But the bulk of the community operations is going to go ahead and just move over there. Which for the people who aren't supporters, I would encourage you to move straight over to the new community, because then you can actually type and take part in the conversations. It gives us so many more tools. Like, we have the tools to run challenges and everything over there. We even have a place for the 6-month challenge where we can actually detail the challenge. We can put in updates and stuff like that. I am currently in the process of transitioning the online school over there. I actually have Dragon Magic 101 completely transferred over there. I'm wanting to move at least one course a week, if at all possible, to maintain my sanity. But for anyone who purchased a course at the old school, you'll still have access to that. You're not going to lose access to that. Okay, you're not. I've already been on the phone with Teachables, talking to them and everything. You will not lose access to that. Even like when we shift it from a paid thing down to where I no longer have to pay for Teachables, those will stay on the Teachable server, and you'll still have access to the courses you bought. Going forward, though, the newer courses are only going to be added to the newer school site, if that makes sense. Good question, though. Good question. Pork rinds are, I love them. Pork rinds are amazing. I buy the plain ones and just do what I want with them. They're great in chili. They're great with some dip. If you, I really don't eat a lot of dip on carnivore anymore. So, well, I can't say that. Like, one of my go-to snacks, and this is redneck as hell, but I love it. I will get those little cans of potted meat. Some people's never had it, but it is delicious. It is essentially meat and fat and salt. That's all that's in those little things. And I will get one of those, and I'll get a handful of pork rinds, and I'll dip the pork rinds into the potted meat like you would chips and dip. And honestly, that is an amazing midday snack. It's not so heavy it puts me to sleep. It's filling, and it jacks you up with energy to carry on. Pair that with a good cup of coffee or some water, and you're good to go. Or even a cup of tea. He meant, what's up, crack-a-lack? Oh, my bad. I don't know what a crack-a-lackin' is. Sorry. Yeah, this is great info. Yep. Now, for those wondering, we have been testing it. Like earlier, It was very early in the week. We actually, the paid supporters at locals, they got early access. They've already been over there playing around and enjoying some of the supporter perks and checking out the public area and even helping us do some problem solving, setting it up. Thank you for all the supporters who did do that, by the way. And then Thursday or Friday, we opened the community to locals. We posted it to the public locals. So if you guys are on locals, you should have seen that post. I made sure it announced it to you. You might have got an email about it. So with everything running and going nicely, was like, you know what, let's just go public, let everyone know during MCH we have a one-stop shop for Working Dragon Mystic finally, because honestly and truly, Working Dragon Mystic has become a community, and we've got so many amazing topics that we want to talk about that it's hard to have those conversations the way social media is ran, right? And we have so many great members of the community who they're running their own test of their hypothesis and stuff like that. And yes, this is Working Dragon Mystic. Yes, Dragon Magic and Norse Magic are my focuses. And yes, I'm always trying to learn new things and share what I learned. But that doesn't mean the community itself can't interact with one another and share and grow as well. And the community that's sprung up around Working Dragon Mystic, honestly, I think that's one of the biggest things that we've done. See, no matter subject, rants are always good. Claw, all good, Drake. No problem. Have to be hanging here for the rest of y'all. Glad you can make it, Claw. I got to check the analytics. I've been meaning to get over and look at the analytics at Rumble to see if it's worth the time we're putting into it, but we won't know. I got to dive into analytics. I tried today from my phone. Phone didn't do it. I'm gonna have to do it from the office at some point. Let's see. Julian, when a seeker discovers their immortality, is their breakthrough actually the delayed cosmic backpay occurred to that point? I'm not entirely sure what you mean. Do you mean like ascent, or do you mean like physical immortality? Because I'll be honest with you, I've never seen any actual example of physical immortality. So if you're talking about ascent, I've done a video talking about that at one point. But as far as cosmic back pay, there's not really any cosmic back pay. Everything's about growth and forward. So any of your time on Earth in the physical realm, that's all building up and learning and knowledge that carries forward. You don't get extra special back pay of some kind for your time on Earth. The knowledge and growth and time and experience on Earth, that literally is your pay. So your pay's not been withheld in any way, to use the back pay analogy, if I understand your question correctly. Rainbow, speaking of chicken with head cut off, I got my chicken and potatoes right here. Hey, there you go. There you go. Let's see, where are we? See, Eden, testing the community has been fun. It's been a lot of fun overall. Great platform. Yeah, I'm really impressed by the platform. I really am. I really am. And honestly, everyone, the supporters, they're the ones that made this possible. If it wasn't for them, we would not be able to make this move and actually be trying to get the community into a one-stop. So everybody give a thumbs up, a mugs up to those supporters of this community, because they made it possible. Other than that, like I said, I'm working on getting the school fully transferred over. The 6-month challenge is up and going. We're seeing a lot of updates on that already. I've even started posting a few of my updates over at the new community site, because we actually have a section set up for the 6-month challenge. And for me, like, I'm seeing some pretty cool improvements in areas I didn't think. Many of you know I'm trying to get in shape. I'm trying to get my weight down. Well, my weight hasn't necessarily gone down, but my waist has gone down like 2 inches. which is both good and bad, because bad in the case, like if I ain't wearing a belt or something, I got to be careful running through the house. My britches will drop. I'm going to be having to buy smaller britches at this rate. Now, if my weight will just taper down with my waist, I'll be happy. But yeah, so I'm actually seeing some great improvements on that side. On the metaphysical side of the stuff I've been working on, I'm still gathering data. Like, we've not been at this for a full month, and I don't like to really do short-term data. I'm going to wait for at least all of January before I look at my data points the first time. So take that for what you will, you know. And if you look at your data points before a month, I'm not dogging any way. This is just my preferred methodology. Okay. All right. With that, I don't think I have any more updates. I think we can get into the Q&A and occult chat part of this fun stuff. The Working Dragon Mystic community is one of the best I've come across, and it's great seeing how willing everyone has been to help each other grow and learn. I agree. There's been a lot of people who have slung a lot of mud at me because I'm so willing to help others, and because I don't really get dogmatic. They really hate the fact that when somebody comes to me and it's like, well, this person said I'm not allowed to do this, or this person said I can't do this. And I'm like, is your process yielding the results you want and you're happy with it? Yeah. Then tell those people to shut up. They hate that for some reason. And that's just, you know, being a creator and a public figure the way I am, there's certain things we have to be careful about. Like when we talk about, say, the Cthulhu mythos or something like that, since those things deal in madness and everything, I can't just be highly out here like, oh yeah, totally dive into that. Because it does have a very, very negative stigma. And people have seen magicians who, they don't tell you to go do something stupid, but you're reading their book and something, you do something stupid, then they try to blame it on cult mentality and all that stupid shit. So I do have to be careful in those respects, and it is what it is. I'd rather be careful in those respects and be able to help people than never get in front of people and have conversations, you know. Yeah, he's a good example. It did happen. Someone read his books and did something awful, and they blamed him, right? So it's one of those dumb things. It really is. And it's a line you walk. And I do everything I can. I try to be respectful. I try to be open with both my mistakes and my successes. And I try to have conversations where we can have them. Anyone in the community will notice we have a rule about deeply discussing madness, embracing things. We can't really do that in public forums because, well, somebody's going to do something stupid and we're going to get blamed, right? And honestly, I don't know why people would want to embrace madness. It's not really a good ideal in my mind. So, you know, we have to have some bumpers set up just to not only protect the community, but also to protect myself and the admin so we can continue helping other people. Some people don't like those bumpers in any shape, form, or fashion. And for that, I would say go start your community and do your thing. I'm trying to help the largest amount of people possible and have as many conversations as possible. And I mean, there are people who's referred to the Working Dragon Mystic community as a cult before. And I think that's kind of funny because I got to say I make a piss poor cult leader, because one of my things on this channel is getting you all to think for yourself, to actually test things, apply it, see if it gets results. If it doesn't get results, why are you doing it? So the concept of that just baffles me. It's like, I don't care if you don't agree with me, but I'm telling people to think for themselves. Is that why you're mad? Let's see. There's been my sappy feel good moment. What's up to you, Matthias or Matthias? Let's see. Claw. Hey, Drake, I tried making dragon's blood oil using your video. Is the ground incense supposed to eventually fully dissolve in the carrier oil after a few days. Mine doesn't seem to want to mix. Most of the ones I have done, it will soak up a good chunk of what's in the resin, but the powder itself will eventually settle to the bottom. It's more of a dragon's blood oil is more of an emulsion than it's being dissolved fully in it. So it will settle. Think more of something like a vinegar and oil dressing, how you got to shake it occasionally, as opposed to say good Southern sweet tea. If you've ever had that, like you can pour a lot of sugar in there and get it fully suspended for a long time, and it won't settle. Grant you, even Southern sweet tea has its breaking point, but yeah, it will settle. That's perfectly normal. It's not as pretty as some of the more manufactured stuff, but I personally find it works far better than the manufactured stuff. Just my 2 cents. What's the scariest fae I ever saw, and what did they look like? Well, that's a tricky question, Rainbow, because like if you honestly, the fae that upon looking upon them scares me the most. Point blank. It's a tie between 2 of them, and that's the Summer Queen and the Winter Queen, hands down. And honestly, they're both quite beautiful. But anyone who's ever truly worked with them, when you look into those eyes, there is a sense of terror and fear and knowing that just I can't even put it into words. I really can't. Those would be the 2, seriously. Now, like if you're talking physically ugly, horror-looking things, there's so many of them in the Fae realm, I can't think of it, to be honest with you. And honestly, though their appearance may not be fair and may be slightly terrifying or very terrifying appearance, it doesn't even come close to the sheer terror of looking the queens in the eyes. That said, though, if we look at like the most common terrifyingly looking fae, I would probably think red caps actually first. They're pretty freaking gnarly, terrifyingly looking. Would they rank as the most terrifying? No, but they're going to be very common and nightmare fuel. That happened when my dad lost weight. He was cutting down trees into logs. His pants fell down to the ground. He looks down, looks up at me. Guys, then finished. Yeah, I mean, I'm from the South. That stuff happens. Like there's been several times walking through the house this week where I was like, God, I got to go get a belt or a pair of overalls, which I don't own any overalls, surprisingly, but I don't. Yeah, it's a pain. It really is a pain. But you know what? Belt's working. Though at the same time, I'm kind of seeing why suspenders were so popular. Oh, not that I ever see me wearing suspenders. Let's see. Let's see. Opinions on real. Let's see. That's not a term that's registering with my brain right now. I may have to look that one up for you. I've seen it used in a fiction book. I want to think it was a fiction book. If it's the word I'm thinking about. But that was like the coming of a dominant race. I don't want to use the M word because YouTube's going to flag me for some dumb shit. But that book was so old, I never finished it because that was back in high school, and it was a shitty book I checked out in the library. So I may not even be thinking about it right. Let's see. Thomas, I think cult is used way too much and way too loosely nowadays. It is. It's honestly some other dragon content creators were throwing it around. One of them I can think of, like they actually used to be very common around here. And someone said something they didn't agree with, but I agreed with the other person, not them. And they threw a tantrum and went to TikTok to, sling mud, is what it is. They're allowed to sling mud. That's freedom of speech, people. And I've never lost any sleep over it. So, let's see. Also have many different practices, so that would be difficult to function. Yeah. We got so many people around here. We got people who focus on sigil magic. We got one individual works with the Zelda deities, if I remember correctly. I don't know once the server got deleted if they ever found their way back into the Discord server. Hopefully they do find their way back to the community, though. They had a lot of fascinating concepts and ideals magically. And their practice was yielding results. So, more power to them. We've got individuals who focus in Norse. We got people, I've seen people who are very into ceremonial magic in the community. There's people into Jewish Kabbalah. There's people into the Cliff-Oth. We've had wonderful conversations with servitor magicians. I mean, I think we're pretty hard pressed not to find something in our community from almost every practice, and that includes Wicca. A lot of people were really freaking surprised to find out we have Wicca members in the community, and I'm like, why? Wicca is a magical practice. You can practice Wiccan magic without practicing Wicca religion, even though Wicca technically is a religion. Their magical practice can be done without it. Would traditional Wiccans recognize them as Wiccans? Probably not. But even if they are, we have several who are religiously practicing Wiccas in the community, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm actually tickled to death. We have so many viewpoints and ideals in our community so we can share and collab and discuss, right? Because it's not about shooting people down and discouraging people. It's about trying to have a discussion and help each other, right? Because you all know my criteria. Is what you're doing working and yielding results, yes or no? If the answer is yes, keep on going, keep on trucking, keep on improving, keep on doing better every day. If your answer is no, well, I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm not saying it's a bunch of hogswash. All I'm saying is step back, look at your process, examine it, make some adjustments, and try again. That doesn't mean throw out the entire process, start from scratch and build it anew. That means make some tweaks, right? That's all you got to do, make some tweaks. And that can improve a person's practice and or efficiency in their practice, because it's about those results in the end, at least as far as working Dragon Mystic's concerned. People are silly. What can I say? Yes, textbook definition. Textbook definition practically. Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of really hardcore cults and, Manson and them. You just jogged my memory, Drake. Oh, Lord, what'd I do this time? Had an interesting occurrence during an elemental meditation earlier, and my day has been so busy I almost forgot about it. Interesting occurrences during meditations are always a fun thing in my mind. Sometimes they can be terrifying, but the knowledge and wisdom is always fun in my mind. Thomas, what spirit/entity do you relate with the most, as in the first one that comes to mind when going through a bad time? That's actually a tricky one, because most people's going to expect me to say the dragons, right? Really is. But I mean, my co-magician, my guardians, they're around 24/7. So yes, I confide in them. But let's say you're talking, my life is hitting the rocks. Somebody's thrown me into the dryer, put that thing on high speed, warp, ludicrous speed, and throw me in there with nails and razor blades. Kind of rough, right? I'll be honest with you. The two individuals, the two entities, I think in situations of shit hitting the fan that I think of and reach out to first. And I have to say two, because when I think about it, it really is 50-50. These are the two entities I actually tend to confide in and reach out to first. And sometimes it'll be I go to one and at the time, sometimes I'll go to the other at the time, and sometimes I even go to both of them at the same time. That is actually Odin and Freya. It really is. There's just something about the aspects of these entities, both as war gods, first off, because they are both definitely a god and goddess of war. So they understand what it means to fight for what you believe in and to fight and your way through your situations. And that's that kind of fighting spirit. I mean, I'm an American. I grew up with that, right? But at the same time, they both value knowledge, wisdom, and magic as well as physical prowess. So in a lot of ways, their mentality mirrors me in my life, right? I've done a lot of physical work. I've learned to fight in a lot of different ugly situations. I've been in a lot of ugly fights, and I've got the medical record to prove it. But I was always taught from a young age, though a man can fight, a person can fight, and he may be backed into a corner where he has to fight. If you can maneuver it so that you can solve the solution without fighting, that's fine, but you should be able and capable. That was kind of what my dad always taught me. And I always, took that to heart. I didn't know where it would get me in life. I didn't know I'd ever end up practicing magic, those kinds of things. But really, like if you're asking me, the first entities I think of to reach out to and talk to when the shit hits the fan, it's those two. It really is. Now, I'm not going to lie that it kind of weirds me out when I think about it, because as often as I work with the dragons, like daily, I want to say it's going to be either the rulers or one of the rulers, right? But the truth of the matter is, over the years, when I sit down and look through my journals, the two entities that actually come out 80% of the time as the primary entities that I reach for when I'm having a rough go is Odin and Freya. So yeah, good question. Cool question, actually. Let's see. Let's see. Tiffany from Kentucky and no overalls. You're just, no, actually, I'm not. Okay. Full on growing up, I had the bib, jean, overalls, going outside in overalls, running around, no shirt, getting in trouble. Yeah, it was great. And in truth, for anyone who wonders, overalls are comfortable as shit. They really are. And I get really warm in summer. So, like, I understand why these boys wear them, because you can have your jeans, you got your leg protection happening, you have some coverage here. So, bushes and stuff aren't going to tear you up too bad, but you don't have a shirt on and they're just kind of draped on your shoulders. So you actually have a lot of air circulation through everything happening, that if you had a shirt on, it's going to catch more air. And if you got it tucked in, well, you're just going to cook if you tuck your shirt in. So I get it. I really do. But my wardrobe, weirdly, it's just all my overalls were on the farm. And when I moved away from Kentucky, let's just say the people who owned the farm was the side of the family that I really didn't want to have a lot to do with. So I just never bought any, because to me, they were, when I was little, they were play clothes. But then as I started growing, they became more, work clothes and stuff like that. And the type of work I was doing, though harsh and everything, I needed slightly different clothing. That's why I kind of went to, many of you have noticed I wear a lot of Dickies work shirts or Henley t-shirts, something that's durable but can still get that work done. And then I usually wear jeans. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Actually, weirdly, I was joking with my wife that when we retire and end up back in the hills, don't be surprised if I end up buying me some bibbed overalls. Hell, who knows? Maybe I'll get me a straw hat at some point and some overalls and just pop on here looking like a full-blown hillbilly just for fun. Y'all wouldn't know what to do if I showed up just full hillbilly. Yep. We got some Enochian practitioners too. That was one of the words I was trying to think, and my brain just was not producing it. Thank you, Thomas. See, Aiden, we're all here to learn. I'm so glad to hear that. Howdy doodle, everyone. Hey, Birdie, glad to see you. Let's see. Okay, I've never heard that word associated with chi, ki, and prana, etc. I'm going to have to do some Googling on that. Thanks, guys. I'm going to have to Google that word up and find out some associations and stuff, because I like to know the terminologies and the words and how they interconnect. I'm a nerd like that, so I'm going to be Googling that. Thank you, people. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and grab that word and screenshot that, Claw. Appreciate it. Tack that into my little office here where I store random shit. So I don't know everything. I've told you all I don't know everything. So you guys are definitely going to throw some stuff at me. It's like either I'm not sure, I just don't know. Let's see. Basically, had an intense moment visualization in which I was sitting in a river, and I see luminous white wispy figure looking like an old man. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, actually. See, do I have any experience with Kinic Magic? If so, have you ever used it with dragon magic? So, I've tinkered with it. I'm not gonna lie, I have tinkered with Kinic Magic. It's actually becoming more and more popular. It's not new. There's this concept that it's a new branch of magic. It's not new. Like, it is utilizing hand symbols and gestures as foci. So you get to use them to focus energy and stuff. You see this in several different meditation traditions or energy working traditions and stuff. So it's not overly new. There are definitely new techniques being applied to it. That's, but new techniques doesn't mean it's a new system in and of itself. But over the years, I have tinkered with it some, and I have had some pretty good successes with it. I really have. And I would even argue that, when we look at the draconic language, like the reason humans can't speak the draconic language, for example, not only can we not make the exact guttural bestial sounds, nor can we manipulate the vibrations at the same level as the dragons, but we also don't have the ability and muscle control to individually move muscles at the way that a dragon does, because the position, the angle of each scale actually kind of makes part of their language. So their muscle twitches and everything, and it does become a part of that language. We can't do that. But if you think about that, they're moving their bodies to make a point. And one of the things that I've noticed throughout my work with other entities is they talk about how the dragon language has power behind it, and the fact that other entities can't replicate it means they can't replicate that. Well, if you think about it, those movements make a part of that language, which means that those movements also make part of whatever that power you might want to call it is. So yeah, I mean, it makes absolute sense. It really does. It makes sense to me. It's been a long time since I played with it. Some of you have noticed before, but like my hands don't really, like, they almost have a natural claw to them if I just let them sit. And that's because honestly, my hands and my fingers have all been broke more times than I can count. So my hand agility is not what it used to be. So anytime I tinker and practice with that stuff, it gets really difficult. I've got colleagues who have done more with it, but when I was tinkering with it in the past, I had some good results with it. So, I mean, yeah, if you're interested, I'd say pluck away at it, give it some try, see what you get, see if you get results. I think you'd do well. I got some results with it back in the day. If I can ever get I am working on getting agility back in my hands. A few people seen me like occasionally do this or this. Like I am trying to get some agility back. A couple doctors have said, good luck, it's pointless, but you know, I'm stubborn, so I'm going to try. Video feed just cut. Crap. Oh, never mind. Okay, it's back. Aiden Country Drake. Oh, you can take me out of the country, but you can't take the country out of me. You really can't. I was born and raised a hillbilly. No matter where you stick me, no matter how well dressed I am, I will still be a hillbilly. Like my granddad, like I can't remember ever seeing my papa in anything but overalls. I really cannot. Outside of pictures, and I say pictures because he retired. He was a retired military vet, so I got to see all of his military uniform pictures and everything when he served in the wars and everything. But then there's the papa I knew wandering around his property, doing his farming and everything. And I seriously don't think I ever saw him in anything but overalls. I seriously have no memory of that man in anything but bib overalls. Then there's my dad who, well, he worked on a farm, worked in hay and all kinds of stuff. So it wasn't uncommon to see him in them, especially in winter. Like he was a Carhartt overhaul fan in the winter. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They'd probably definitely do that. Yeah, Carhartt's expensive. A lot of people say Carhartt is way too expensive. It's like they're worth it. Like they're durable, they will last, they're really hard to tear up, and they will keep you warm. They really will. I honestly did not own a lot of Carhartt stuff because I didn't get as cold as everyone else. So I was usually giving my jacket to other people because I'm one of those weirdos that don't get cold. Um, However, traveling as much as we have with the military and everything, and getting older, both, like, you know, hot and cold start to affect you more. And it's like, I'm actually wondering if when I get back to the hills of Kentucky and back up into those mountains, if I'm going to need me some Carhartts. And you know what? I don't mind. I'm ready to, they're comfortable too. Um, so yeah. It's been weird. Somehow we ended up talking about overalls. Oh Lord. They are beautiful, and I don't know if I necessarily think Carhartts are beautiful, but they are functional. I'll give you that. That was kind of always one of my problems. I actually do kind of like to be comfortable, but I also tend to actually want to. I like to look nice in some respects, and I kind of get that a little bit from my dad because when he wasn't working, you know, he wore the button ups and stuff, and y'all see me. I try, you know, even now I've got a button up right now, um, and it's not like I'm, you know, against dressing down. I do it quite often, but I also make sure when I do dress, it's functional. I just like to be able to go in and I kind of like the way. Okay, here's the way I think about the way I dress these days. Regardless of what I'm wearing, whether it's a Henley or a Dickies work shirt, whatever, if I walk into the bank, no one's going to bat an eye. If I walk into a restaurant, no one's going to bat an eye. If I walk onto the farm ready to throw hay or run cattle, no one's going to bat an eye. Wherever I go, I'm going to be able to be functional. That's kind of how I look at my overall wear of clothing these days. That's the mentality. But I also, you know, in doing that, you have to kind of look at a certain standard because I don't know if I'd be comfortable going into a bank in overalls. That's just not me. That's not my style. I don't think I would look right either. Like, let's be honest. Do you all honestly think I would look right in overalls these days? There's just certain people can pull it off, right? Some people can pull it off. I don't think I'm one of those people. I may be a hillbilly. I may be able to wear them working and not even bat an eye, and I do believe they're comfortable. I don't think I could actually pull off the overall look, though. Let's see, Bertie, I did have a question on how you find results quantifiable. I'm experimenting, but I've had hard to put numbers on results like confidence, like you can prosperity. Confidence is a tricky one. Hands down, confidence is a tricky one. That's a great question. So one of the things that I found when it came to building confidence in myself and working with students is to find a situation where you lack confidence. One of my favorite go-tos, karaoke bar. The number of students I have that are absolutely petrified to get up on stage and sing karaoke is pretty high. Newsflash, I don't like it either. I'm afraid of cameras. Remember that? So find something like that that you can choose to put yourself in that situation. And do magic, do rituals to work on your confidence, work with entities to build your confidence. And if you can, this day and age, when you go up and you put that yourself into that position, whether it be getting up to sing a song or something, if you have a friend that can record it, watch your body language, not just your words, watch your eye contact with the audience, watch your body language and everything, because confidence really ties into our body language. Okay, you can tell when a person is confident. They're sitting up straight, they're standing straight, their shoulders are up, they're not kind of tucked in at all. They're open, they're out there, they're having fun. You can tell they're relaxed. So watch not only the words in that situation, but watch your body language if you can record it, because that's going to show you more than anything how comfortable you are and your confidence in that situation. With confidence, that's really the best way to do it, is to find a way to put yourself in a situation where you honestly do lack some confidence. Most of us have had this at one point in time. If you're old enough to be driving, every one of us knows that when we're learning to drive, the first time you're on it, even if you're just a wee little redneck learning to drive the riding lawnmower, you're petrified because your daddy's telling you how to do it. You've seen him do it 1,000 times, and he's telling you how to do it, but you're petrified. You're making sure you don't screw it up and get whipped or something. And once you get it, you start driving. You're super stiff, but you're doing everything right. And inside a month or two, you've been mowing constantly and ongoing. You just jump on there, kick that on, and suddenly it's the mower becomes an extension of you because you've built that confidence in it. And then you move up to the actual tractor in the hills. But most people have experienced this with cars, because some people don't even start touching cars until they're 13 driving. I can't say that for me. My dad put me on his lap when I was like 5 and let me steer the truck. But, another thing. So using those things to allow yourself to quantify it is the best way I've found for confidence, because it is, somewhat, there's how confident did you feel? That is a question you can ask, but that's a really, for a guy like me, that's a weird one, because it's like, did I feel better tonight than last night? Well, that could have been acid reflux. That could have been constipation. That could have been less people in the bar. There's a lot of things that could play into how did I feel, right? I'm not a really feelings-based person in a lot of things, especially when I'm trying to quantify something. So I had to step back and ask myself, how can I actually measure this? And luckily, I've learned a lot about communication and body language and stuff throughout the years, and talking to people and, giving a good solid handshake and those kinds of things. And I took that data and I applied that to myself, and I threw myself into those awkward situations. Does that make some sense? And does that help a little? Let me know. Let's see. You should get some and have a poll, jokingly. Oh, Lord. Let's see, Drake. Do you have any experience with Celtic magic and dealing with the Celtic pantheon? Just started reading DJ Conway's book on the subject. but would love to find more resources, and that's where Wicca originates from. You're going to have to read a lot of books if you can find them. Celtic Magic it's the folk magic and practice of people known as the Celts, right? And the same thing with the pantheons. I have worked with the Celtic pantheon quite a bit. I've tinkered with Celtic groups, and I enjoyed working with the Celtic groups that I worked with. Wicca's origins are not as ancient as people think. They are not. It's actually a relatively young religion that pulls on a mass grouping of a lot of things put into a singular practice. And when you actually go diving through Wicca's origins, it gets a little creepy. But I do not judge the practice overall by the ideologies of the individual who pinned it. Let's go with that. That might be an easy way to say it. Because regardless, the individual is always responsible for their own shit, right? So it is pretty young, and it is an amalgamation of a lot of things. Some of it was pulled from some Celtic traditions. Some were pulled from some European traditions. Some bits and pieces were pulled from Eastern traditions. So it's one of those younger practices that, I think by and large, I think it's not a bad go at it, really. But just like any grouping or practice or religion, there's people who's given it a bad name, right? That's going to be said anywhere. There's plenty of people who give dragon magic a bad name. But yeah, I've always thought most Wiccans I know, especially solitary practitioners, they tend to like to research multiple pantheons and stuff. They're not really limited. Granted, there's many paths and traditions where they limit themselves to a strict singular pantheon. But that depends on the coven, the tradition, that kind of stuff. Let's see. Matthias experienced what could be considered a confidence boost after I did a round of contact evocations. Hey, there you go. That's always a good thing. Honestly, dealing with entities really did kind of boost my confidence in a lot of ways, because it was alien territory for me when I was starting to do magic. There was a lot of alien things that I just never done before. And getting in there and playing around with it really helped me out. Let's see, Birdie. Yes, it does help. A test for each manifestation. Driving was a great example because I had to teach myself, and I was doing magic to help. No wonder I'm a good driver. There you go. There you go. See, I mean, it's just one of those things. You've got to put yourself in a situation where your confidence is lacking and find a way to observe it and examine it. That's the key. And honestly, this day and age with every phone out there having a flipping recording camera on it, pretty easy. As long as you have a friend to point the phone at you, right? Let's see. See, Aiden, in some ways, Wicca is in some ways the America of magic, combining various cultures into one unification practice. I can see your statement. Yep. There's probably a lot of people who are screaming and shrilling no at that statement, but I can see your meaning behind it. So I like it. How well would you rate Freemason magic? Okay. Actually, I've known a few Freemasons in my life. In fact, one of the individuals that I grew up around, my dad's best friend was a Freemason. And though I got to learn bits and pieces from him, sadly to say I didn't get to learn most of what I learned from him. I wish I had. But I actually have to say that I've found that a good chunk of the stuff I was shown, at the very least, was quite functional, really. So there you go. I mean, um, there's more than a lodge or three mason of the masons that has tried to get me to come in and learn, because I do have enough Freemason ties that if I wanted to join, I can join, those kinds of things. Um, I've just, I'm always moving. I am always moving. And I don't, it's like, I'm not going to park and join a lodge when I'm always moving. I don't even know if I have time, right? I got so much stuff going on. What are you going to do? Between Dragon Magic, Norse Magic, running the working Dragon Mystic channel, it's like, I don't know if I'm the right bloke for it. Let's see. Kenny, I'm a firm believer that most beliefs are part of a much bigger picture. I'd absolutely agree. In fact, I would think if you're very hard pressed to find a belief that doesn't intersect and interweave with another. They're not standalone little islands in truth. In some way, no matter how you slice it, every spiritual belief system out there is part of the greater multiversal patterns and balance and weaves. It's just this group of people has decided to work within it, to work toward goals, whether they're spiritual or whatever, in this method, utilizing these tools and these resources, right? And if it works, it works. So, I mean, that's just really, that's it. That's why I got no issues with people. I know plenty of magicians who are Christians, and people's like, you can't do that. Horse shit, you can't. They do it all the time. So, yeah, I mean, this concept of this one person who has the one singular only truth, it's one of the most laughable things I've ever found. It really is. It's one of those things that it's like, so you're the only one who ever got it right? Okay. Then why does their stuff work? Blah, 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 blah. You know. But I'm an asshole like that. What can I say? I'm an open-minded asshole. um, let's see. Where was it? Where was it? Where was it? Where was it? Can somebody jog my memory of what that word perennialism means? Because I know that word, but my brain is locked. I want to say it ties in with philosophers somehow. Which I love philosophy. I'll tell you that. Like philosophy, stoicism, stuff like that. I love reading it. It's the philosophical ideal that states all religions and spiritual paths illuminate a deeper unifying truth. Um, yeah, I would say there's merit to it. Okay, I know. Thank you. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for helping put some WD-40 on my brain. I would say there is, because when I look at Dragon Magic, for example, right? Dragon Magic's really the first path where I was really looking at the multiverse and how the multiverse interacts and interplays with everything, and that multiversal balance, right? But as I moved over into other areas, whether I was working with Azazel, whether I was working with angels, whether I was working with the Norse, whether I was pathworking the Tree of Life or the Cliff Off, I'm seeing that interlocking, universal, multiversal web, that pattern in all of it. All of it. No matter where you go, it's the same pattern, right? And all these different pathways, all these different traditions are ways of manipulating and understanding, more importantly, understanding that pattern. And you really see this good in Norse magic, because in Norse magic, when they're talking about the web of the weird, when you actually start getting deep into seed magic and diving into it, one of the first things that hit me as I got deep into seed magic and was less overwhelmed by the experience, if you will, was how when I'm looking at the web of the weird, I realized I'm looking at that same interlacing woven pattern of the multiverse that the dragons have shown me and talked about. So, yeah, I mean, I'm on board with the concept that we're all tugging at the same tapestry, and we're all running around on it and working with it in some way. So I would say it would at least be worth looking into from a mental and educational perspective and lens. I really would, if you got time to read it. That's one of the big things that catches us up most of the time is our greatest resource. We have a finite set amount of time on this rock, right? So we have to make and choose where we spend our time. And obviously, a good chunk of our time has to be spent on survival and actually living in the material plane. You can't just ignore the material plane and learn and grow in wisdom. You won't. Books will not teach you everything. Meditation will not teach you everything. Spell work will not teach you everything. Entities cannot teach you everything. You have to learn about the physical realm by getting out there and living in it. And that's a thing, unfortunately, too many magicians toss in the rubbish bin and try to avoid. But yeah, so I would encourage you to spend your time well, and pick and choose your areas of research as best you can to be the best you can be. And of course, join Working Dragon Mystic Community, where we talk about random shit all the time. And we may jog up an interesting conversation that spares you reading a lengthy book, because we may have a topic that we sum up a book. We've done that before. We've had many topics where we sum up entire books in a 30-minute conversation before. So, is what it is. And with that, guys, I got to get going. I got a meeting I got to get to. You guys have a fantastic week. Keep doing what you can to improve. Keep working on your practice, whatever it may be. And I will see you next time. And don't forget to jump over and join the new Working Dragon Mystic Community site. I look forward to seeing everybody there. All right. Take care. Good night.